So let's have a little fun. Right? I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but it's the day after. Working all day, up all night, soaking it all in, mostly watching people lose their mind because I find that to be, and it's sad, I find it to be a little hilarious. My biggest question, though, of all of this is, and I was telling people today, I blame the media for not just lying to the country the way they did, in particular, the country on the right? You know, talking about how Trump is evil, Trump is bad, he's a Nazi, and starting a fight. But also, I blame them because they didn't get it. They didn't get it at all. And it made me laugh because as I'm watching all of this breakdown last night, and their anger towards the voter, which was hilarious, and blaming white voters, uneducated white voters, stupid voters, you guys are. The craziness of the way that this broke down was hilarious. And of course, Joy Reid, she's the great, race baiter and over there at MSNBC and blaming white voters and today, on The View, and we'll get to that in a second. But all that aside, the media lied over and over again to the American people, mostly to their own supporters, the people that are on their team. They lied over and over again. And as I'm watching all of this, I'm thinking to myself, you're telling everybody this is all that matters is this. Democracy's dead, all that. I mean, the stuff that he's a Nazi, all those things. And yet the country was saying, no, we care about other things. And watching them today get pissed and angry, talk about how great the race was. And she lost because, of course, white people don't like black people. She's a woman. Mexicans don't like black people. That's a new one. Latinos don't like black people. I mean, you just, whatever you want to throw out there, it was excuses, misogyny, all that stuff. And then I watched Chris Matthews, and I was fascinated because he talked about two things that actually matter. And in doing so, I don't know. You think, okay, does he get it and nobody else does? Or are they just all afraid to admit, because they live in these bubbles, that maybe, just maybe, it's about more than whether or not he's a Nazi.
And I think that's it. And it's all about immigration and the economy. But immigration has been a terrible decision for Democrats. I don't know who they think they were playing to when they let millions of people come cruising through the border at their own will. Because of their own decisions, they came running through that border, and they didn't do a thing about it. And a lot of people are very angry about that. Working people especially, they feel that they've been betrayed. They feel that their country has been given away, and they don't like it. And I don't know who liked it. The Hispanics apparently didn't like it. They want the law enforced. And so I'm not sure they were playing to anything that was smart here.
They weren't. They weren't playing to anything that's smart. We'll get back to Chris in a second. They weren't. They failed to understand. It's like the American voter is telling you what they want. They're saying things like, we don't like high prices. And they're like, well, the economy's great. You guys just don't understand. Oh, illegal immigration sucks. And we are for, both Republicans, Democrats, and independents, we're for mass deportations. And they're like, you guys just don't get it. No, you don't get it. And you lied to your own fan base is maybe the best way to describe it. You lied to them over and over again. And they bought it. And they paid the price. And then, as James Carville so rightfully said many, many moons ago, it's always about the economy, stupid. It's always about the economy.
In terms of an open border, and that's what it is, an open border. And I think it's a bad decision. I hope they learn from it. The economy, I think you can talk all you want about rates of inflation going down. What people do is they remember what the price of something was, whether it's gas or anything or cream cheese or anything else, and they'll say, I can remember when it was $2, now it's $7. And They remember in the last 5 years. That's how people think. Democrats don't know how people think anymore. They think about their country, and they think about the cost of things, And the working people figured, well, all these college kids, all the ones who went to elite universities, all looking down on us. Besides that, besides all this, we're getting condescension and the deplorables and all that stuff. And they felt it, and they voted that way.
Yep, they felt it. They voted that way. 100% correct in that one. They felt it. And the condescension, like today on The View, watching them and going after, again, voters and, oh, I'm ashamed of America, that kind of stuff was ridiculous. Then there was the other side of it, the side that nobody wants to talk about in earnest, right? Like when it comes to the left side of the aisle. Was she any good as a candidate?
For that. And think about this. She did this in 2 months.
Yeah, no.
She did this in 2 months.
She left it all on the field. Yes, she
look,
did.
she, you know, everybody can always say, oh, she should have done this. She should have done this. She did what she did. She was everywhere. She talked to everybody, and people didn't come out. I don't know why, and it doesn't even matter. He's now the president. I'm still not going to say his name. That's not going to say.
She raised $1 billion. No, she didn't. Donald Trump raised $1 billion for her because the want to get rid of him by so many people raised her $1 billion. Nobody's giving her any money. They already did that once in 2019, and it was a shit show. She didn't even make it to Iowa. She wasn't a good candidate because she wasn't good at this. She felt uncomfortable. I watched her today, and she gave a speech, and it was robotic. It was not human. You know, one thing Trump has taught, I think, a lot of people is they want the human. They want a conversation. And Trump says a lot of shit that's wacky. Trump says a lot of crap that you sit there and you shake your head. Trump says all kinds of things that drive me crazy, and I think a lot of you crazy. That being said, he's very human. You know what you get with him. With a lot of people out there in this industry and in the political world, you don't know what get at all. What's real, what's not real. It's all kind of BS. And I sit here and I shake my head and I laugh, and they're going to try to figure out what went wrong. The media, you hurt more than anything. Mark Halperin last night was brilliant. And he said, I warned him for years. You continue to push. You continue to do things that you think are helping, and all you're doing is feeding into it. And I made a comparison today on my show. Trump's kind of like Freddy Krueger, right? Freddy needs to be believed before he can do anything. And the more that you believe in him, stronger he gets. Trump's that way. He feeds off all that negativity. The more that they throw at him, the better he got. And they're a big reason for this. You had a lot of people in America push against the media, and they saw the media as the machine. And they won't change. They're not going to. Because at the end of the day, they're stoked. Their golden goose isn't going anywhere. They can now take off their regular shirts and put on their resistance shirts, and they can all come together like Power Rangers and fight the thing they think is evil. So, it's the day after. Guess what? The march for impeachment, I'm sure, begins, depending on whether or not they get the House. It's going to be very interesting indeed. But I want to say, I had a couple people contact me today who've listened to my show for a very long time, who put up with my craziness, my wackiness, my voices and whatnot. And they were worried. And I told them, you have nothing to worry about. This fear factor is brought on by the media, right? Because it's easier, as we talk about, it's easier to scare than to convince. And I said, Trump's not going to do anything. Trump's not going to go out and put people in camps. What kind of camp? A fat camp. I don't know. A camp. And he's not doing it. It's not happening. He's going to put people on trains, Claire McCaskill. First of all, nobody freaking rides a train. Secondly, no. Stop that. That doesn't help. It doesn't. But know that what they're saying and how they're saying it has zero to do with reality and all to do with likes, shares, clicks, subscribes, things of that nature. The day after is kind of like the day before, outside of all the chaos that comes with people losing their effing mind. We're going to be fine. And I told my friends that. I told my listeners that. You can hate Trump all you want. Zero problems with that. It's the beauty of America. But take a deep breath and realize so much of what you're terrified, not just with something like Trump, but everything in your mind never comes true. And he's not going to put you in a concentration camp. That is crazy. He's going to dictate. He's not going to be a dictator from day one. He's going to reverse the orders that Joe Biden reversed that he originally put in place. It's not really a dictator. It's kind of a dick move at the beginning anyways, Joe. And goes back to what Chris Matthews said. Immigration. You let people run wild in this country. You paid zero attention to what was going on. And when the American people told you 1,000 times what they wanted, you ignored it and act like it didn't happen. And for that, you paid a price last night. You guys have a good one. I'm off to play soccer, so I'm pretty stoked. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and check out the show across all of our stuff. YouTube, Facebook, @Chet Benson Show, Twitter, Instagram, all the